Haha, right. Third time's a charm. Managed to figure out how to do it. So yes, now anyone should be able to watch this video because we are set to public. So I am coming on today to talk about more behind like Worley's world and why it will help our children further down the line. So like I have chosen to put like the description on as when your teenager has their first breakup, who is it you want them to come to? Because it's that way, like I know as a parent when my girls experience like the first things that really do upset them in terms of things like a breakup, it's at that age when kids sometimes stop coming to their parents for advice, stop coming to their parents for support. So I want to make sure that I'm the one that my girls feel comfortable with, and it's me that they come and speak to about their emotions. So even though we're talking about something that, might be 8-9 years down the line, it is still really important that actually the legwork is started now. So what Worley's World offers is the ability for parents to have the tools to talk to their kids about their emotions so that they have these deep connections and these trusting bonds, so that later on in life you are the go-to adult that your kids come to when they're experiencing these different things. Again, I am going to say one of the things I do is I am going to be looking sideways at my screen, back at my prompts, because if I don't have prompts telling me what I'm talking about, then I will go off on a tangent. So this is just to make sure that we're not here for hours on end and I end up boring you with stuff that you don't need to know. So Worley's World is obviously based on characters, and they are characters that are relatable and they experience the same things that our kids do, which is why children automatically build that connection with them, because you might read a story about Worley and your children automatically think, oh, okay, that's happened to me. And that's where the first sort of connection is built. It's within those stories, and it's engaging them straight away with these characters that feel the same things that they feel. Also within Worley's World, one of the biggest things that I don't actually talk about enough is it's not just a story. Like no book, I don't believe any book is just a story, because stories are so powerful, and it's what you then do with the story. But the way that Worley's World like has been written is all to do with what's called NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And that's the foundation of all the things that sort of comes behind Worley's World. So it sounds really, really confusing, but it's actually not. It's just being able to understand like how our brains work, how we communicate with people. And it's basically like a user manual for how we use our brains. So it stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So neuro is linked to the brain and how we process information, how we see things, hear things, feel things, and all the influences that we get from the outside world. And they then help us program how we think and how we act as a human. The linguistic side of it is all to do with the language and the communication. So how the words that we use in our daily lives actually have an impact on how we're feeling and our emotions and the actions that we take. For example, if we are someone that is constantly telling ourselves bad things about ourselves, we are going to act in quite negative ways. Our emotions are going to be quite negative emotions. Whereas if we're someone that continues to repeat positive things to ourselves, we tell ourselves that we are good at doing things, I am a good runner, I am a good storyteller, blah, blah, blah. It then helps you form those emotions and those actions that are also positive. So the linguistic side of things is all this, the positive language. And obviously through stories, the language is very, very powerful. When we then talk about the programming side of it, so neuro's the brain, linguistic is the communication side. The programming is like the programs our brain then has to help us identify how we're going to act and feel in certain situations. So if you have had a positive experience of getting on the bus, the next time you go, excuse me, sorry, I'm going to take a drink. The next time you go to get on a bus, because you've had a positive experience, it will be easy. You won't probably think much about getting on the bus. However, if you have had an experience on the bus that was not positive, the next time you go to get on a bus, you're probably going to have those same feelings come up, those nerves, the anxious sort of feelings, the negative emotions that you've associated with it. So what happens is we form pathways between our experiences and then the feelings associated with those experiences and the actions we then show and the behaviours we show. So if we are constantly having bad experiences, we are going to link, obviously, negative emotions and negative actions. And yes, they are deep-rooted, but what we can actually do is change them. We can form a new response to something. So it is about, like, NLP is about, like, learning how to reframe the way that we think. It can be looking at situations that within the past we've found them really difficult, but now we're going to look at them in a way that's more positive, so we can reduce, like, the stress and the anxiety that is linked with it. It's about encouraging personal growth. So again, practical tools, which obviously is everything behind Worley's World. It's all about giving you the tools to be able to reframe these negative thoughts, to be able to have this personal growth. And what I use and how Worley's World has been created is with a background on these proven techniques that do work within NLP. And it is a psychology and a behavioural science that can create, like, a real change and a change that lasts. NLP is something that I have personally had as part of, like, my healing journey and things like that. And from sort of doing that kind of work, it then sort of enlightened me to think, well, actually, this is a life-changing kind of way of looking at things. If only we could sort of teach our children how to do this too. And that's how I've then used my education background along with my therapy background to turn it in to Worley's World. So it is a totally, like, realistic way of looking at our behaviours and how we then control our emotions. For our children, it's obviously vital that we teach them to understand about their feelings, to make sure they're able to talk about them, and that we respond in healthier ways. So this is where, through the simple activities, the play, the stories, we are then able to bring in, like, as a family, you have your core benefits as a family because you have reduced that stress and the anxiety, because you're able to have a way to speak to your kids about managing their emotions, but they're also able to learn the tools to manage them themselves. So the home in itself becomes a calmer sort of place. If we have these tools to know how, like, our brain is sort of taking in the different situations that we're feeling, and actually that we can take back that control of how a situation affects us, we become more adaptable as a person, and you can, like, you've got better problem solving skills. So especially for kids, like, the problems they need to solve as children are obviously, in our world, they're seen as a lot smaller. Like, the problem for them might be, like, the Play-Doh's got stuck in one of the little tools. How are they going to get it out? And to, as some of you will know, to a toddler, that could be the end of the world. So we're teaching them these skills when they're younger with these, I don't want to say less significant problems, because they're really not, because to our kids, they're huge and they do stop them doing whatever it is that they're doing. But for us adults, we would class, like, Play-Doh getting stuck in a tube as an insignificant kind of problem. So it's that ability, like, we're giving them the chance to practice these things at a younger age with things that aren't as big as, say, having a breakup with their first boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, as a teenager. As well, like, Worley's World in itself, it offers that empathy, because you can then you feel that empathy for the characters when these characters are going through things. Like, for example, book 2, Worley's feeling angry and he's actually quite upset with himself. He doesn't know why he's reacted to his friends like this, and you begin to then feel the empathy for him, that, yes, he's done wrong and he shouldn't have shouted at his friends and, blown his top like what he did. But actually, there was other things that was going on that was causing that anger, and you do start to feel sorry for him and think, right, well, how could we help him? And that's what Worley's World is all about. It's about creating these scenarios that kids think, oh, I've done that before, and they relate to it, because what they will then subconsciously start doing is, when they are helping the monsters and they're supporting the monsters and having the empathy for them and teaching them the tools and things like that, they are actually subconsciously setting these ideas down in their brain and forming these patterns, so that when they're in that situation, what would Worley do? This is what he'd do. So the stories and the play become how we embed these programs into our children's brains, so they have access to these different tools, to these resources. And it's one of those things that adults as well can get so much from, because we again relate to stories. I mean, have you ever found yourself watching like a kids' TV program and actually like it hits home and you think, oh, I feel sorry for that kid? Or you're reading a story and you're like, oh, that is like, a lot of emotion comes up from it. And yes, it's a children's story or a children's program, but you will be having sort of that response to a situation because you have lived experience of that situation. And a lot of obviously what I've created is through lived experience. Like, I have had these challenges, I've had these struggles, so I know what it feels like to be in those situations. So I'm able to then create a story which does get your emotions going and does make you feel the feels and that sort of thing. So it is helpful for both parents and children, and it not only encourages like personal growth within the child, it's that personal growth as a parent of, I do know how to help my children with these things, because we're not given a manual when our kids are born. We're not given a manual. This is how you parent. When this happens and your child has a meltdown because you've not allowed them to throw themselves headfirst down the stairs, this is how to deal with it. We are not given a book that literally tells us how to do things. So what I'm providing is a tool for families to actually be able to begin opening up these conversations and talking about them. So my sort of message to you is, if you are that parent that is struggling to know where to even begin talking to your children about their emotions, how to even start building that sort of trusting relationship, like, it's not going to happen overnight. It is going to take time, but the great thing about Worley's World is you've got all the time in the world, and it's not something that your kids are going to dread being involved in, because it is all based around play. It's creative, it's inspiring, it's engaging. I don't know if any of you saw my post yesterday about colour and how the importance of colour is on impacting us and our motivation to want to do things. Worley's World, as you know, is very rainbow. So it is pleasing to the eye. Like, you will see the activities and automatically you'll be drawn towards the activities because of the colour. And all that has actually had the thought into it. It's not just because I do like beautiful colours and I do like rainbows. It does actually make that difference. My dog is just, I did say in the caption, just be aware that the project manager, she is here. She was asleep, but now she could cause destruction. So if the phone gets knocked over, it's her. So if you are wanting, obviously, to start using Worley's World and have Worley's World as part of your daily routine, I strongly believe that you should, because it's life-changing. I've had a lot of clients who have said it has completely changed their family dynamics. They still have their everyday day-to-day stresses, but things as a whole family have calmed down. They're all a lot more aware of each other's emotions. Kids are actually now more aware of their parents' emotions. So as parents, we are allowed to have those moments where we're overwhelmed. Like, it's not just our kids that get overwhelmed. So Worley's World not only helps your children to understand their own emotions, helps them to understand yours as well. So your entire, that's what I was talking about like the core benefits of a family. Can you stop biting me? Like, go and get your toy. It does just in general, Lyra, overall, like, reduce the stress and anxiety with a family, because you've got the tools to manage the emotions and create a calmer home. So yes, what I will do after this is post a link to the free ebook that I'm offering that shows you how to get started with Worley's World. You are able from that booklet to actually get a video of book 1, so you don't even need to buy the book. You can go straight on and you can listen to When Worley Gets Brave. So you can introduce Worley to your children. There's then she's now biting my feet. This is the joys of a puppy, isn't it? You then get access to a feelings chart as well. So again, that's the first sort of step, is being able to recognise our emotions. And then it also goes through other resources that you can get hold of. So when we begin to start putting these things into our daily routine, it becomes a lot easier. It becomes habit. So the thing that I absolutely love about Worley's World, and what one of my clients actually once said to me, it's like, Worley's World isn't just that tool. He becomes a member of your family. His mates become a member of your family, because it becomes the way that we discuss things. It's the tool that we have to be able to open up those conversations and allow our children to actually feel like they are in control of their emotions, because they link to these characters that have taught them how to be in control of their emotions, because they've got the lived experience of the same things that your children are dealing with and the same life situations. So like, I think that in itself is really powerful, that Worley just becomes like a member of your family. So it's not about giving you something extra to throw in to make your lives easier and trying to say, right, you need to have an extra 5 hours a week where you're going to focus on this. It just becomes a habit, and it becomes a part of your family's routine. So it doesn't feel like a burden. It doesn't feel like you're adding in anything extra, but the amount of like the effort and what you put into it, I can't even put it into words, but like the actual outcome that you get overweighs the fact that yes, you might end up putting an extra 20 minutes in a day where you are really focusing on using Worley to begin with, but later on down the line, you'll not even notice the time that you are using Worley's World, because it is just so embedded into your daily routine. And that's why it's different. It's so simple. It's simple, but it's profound. It's got these different tools behind them, you know, like I've explained earlier on in the video about what neuro-linguistic programming is and how that actually benefits us. That is what Worley's World is based on. It is these proven techniques, but it's taking away that overwhelmed feeling of, you know, we're going to be using these scientific techniques, because everything is done through play. Everything is done through a context, and it's meaningful for our children. And when things mean something to them, they are going to be more invested in it. They're going to want to spend the time to do it. And I know as a parent, like, my main outcome for my kids and the things that I want is for them to be happy, is for them to be resilient, have the resilience that I didn't have as a child, which will then allow them to be more confident individuals. And that is the whole sort of basis behind Worley's World, like raising our kids to be happy, resilient and confident. So if that is what you want for your kids, then you need to be in Worley's World. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I am going to then add in to this, I'll add into the comments the links that you need. As always, any questions, or if you're watching on replay, just reach out to me. I'm only a message away. If you don't want to put something on a public post, you can private message me. And yeah, go and have a scoot around the website. Go and see what free resources you can get. And today's the day you can actually start changing the way your family looks at mental and emotional health. And oh, we have comments. They're starting to show. So start supporting them with the small stuff early, and it means they'll trust you with the big stuff later. 100%, Linz. That's exactly what it's all about. It's about building those relationships from an early age. So when our children are older and they are struggling with things, it's us that they come to. Because that's why we've chosen to be parents, isn't it? Because we want to be there for our kids. We want to help change their lives, make their lives better. And one way that you can do that is start using Worley's World. So on that note, I'm going to head off. And again, I've said it about 5 times, but I'll say it again. I'm going to put the link into the comments. And yes, I hope to see some more people at the next live or sharing their stories of how they're using Worley's World, because I always love to hear how Worley has been helping out our kids. Like, there's never anything too silly to say to me, you know. Yeah, it all makes a difference. But I'd love to know how Worley is already helping you, or how he then does help you from using the starter kit. So enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, whatever you're getting up to. I'm going to take the dog out for a walk, so then she's not biting my feet, and then she'll go back for a little nap instead of thinking that toes is the way forward. So yes, cheerio, and I'll catch you all later. Bye.